All right, thanks again for bearing with us. So I'm here today just to thank you all again for participating in our county-wide survey about skate park design. We have 5 new skate parks on our short list in Montgomery County, and we thought it'd be a great idea to talk to our skate park community, figure out what the diverse needs and interests of the community were. And we heard from a resounding 721 people in that survey, which is really exciting. We got a lot of good media coverage for skating in Montgomery County, and had a lot of fun with Otis the Owl, who is our Montgomery County Parks mascot, and got to get out to skate parks and talk with reporters and all that kind of stuff. And again, we had 731, I think I said 721, but we had 731 responses to our survey. And we were really delighted because the age range in the survey respondents was pretty amazing. We had from 5 to 12 to 60 plus, and heard from a lot of different kinds of people, a lot of different skaters, different types of skating. As you might expect, we heard mostly from people who use skateboards, but we also heard from bikers and inline skaters and others. Also, as you might expect, we heard mostly from white males skating, but the really good news here is that in our 731 responses, we heard from a pretty wide variety, a diverse crowd, which gives us a lot of cool information to work from. And we are planning to go through all of the free-form responses we got and collect the data and figure out how to make some design recommendations based on that. The survey just closed September 30th, so we haven't completed that work yet, but we're in process. And of those 5 new skate parks, one of the takeaways that we had is that we should make them all a little bit different to give some variety in the county. Most survey respondents also rated themselves as intermediate level, but we heard that it was important to have skate parks designed for all abilities. There were a variety of styles preferred. We asked what kind of styles you like. Street and urban were most popular, but followed closely by a lot of different styles as well. For things that make a skate park inviting and enjoyable, we heard lighting, bathrooms, shade, and drinking fountains were important. So we'll be taking all these things into consideration as we start designing new parks. And very importantly, we heard that everybody would like their skate parks to be close to home. So while we have these 5 skate parks kind of in the hopper right now, it's not the end of the story. And we're looking at other locations around the county where we can continue to build skate parks. Obviously, this was a really popular effort, and we're really excited about it. So what I'm most excited about, though, is to present to you today our Ovid Hazen Wells skate park project. It's going to be the first one after the survey that we're building. And today is the opportunity for you all to weigh in on what you would like to see in that skate park. So I'm just so glad to be here with all of you. And I'm going to introduce Brian Lewandowski, our project manager for Ovid Hazen Wells, and let him talk to you a little bit about the project. Thanks so much.
Okay, my name is Brian Lewandowski. I work from Montgomery Parks. I took this project over last year. Cincinnati was the original project manager, but she went and retired on us. How could she do that, huh? But that's really for the whole Ovid Hazen Wells project. And now for this little project we're having, it's a design build project. So you're involved in the process. This is a community charrette today. And we want to hear everything you have to say, all your opinions, your likes, dislikes. So that helps us involve, get this first concept done so we can come back to you and show you what we got and then you can do it. So I'd like to introduce the team. Again, I'm Brian Lewandowski. I'm also an engineer with Parks. I've been here 15 years. I've worked on many projects. From small to large, and came through PDD, and I also run the pedestrian bridge project. Okay, Jason Baldessari is from Spawn Ranch. He's our main dude here today, and he's going to help us design this and lead us into construction. Obviously, he's the global director of skate park development for Spawn Ranch. Kristen Caviati, who you just heard from, she's our site planning and trails supervisor. Josh Arnett, he's sitting over at the table over there. He's our engineering supervisor, going to help us today with questions and answers and online. Samantha Sherman, she's not here yet, but she will be. She actually is the acting architectural supervisor. She's working on the carousel building, and I'll introduce you to that in a second where that location's going. Ching Fang Chen is our landscape architect. She's online today. Joe Mafaya, he's our construction manager for the project. David Farner is the park manager. So if you have any questions about the park, he's the person to talk to. Also, Mike Little is our Northern Region Division Chief. Melissa Chotner, who's over at the desk right there. She's our Public Relations Outreach Manager. And Michelle Ramirez is our Public Relations and Outreach Specialist. And last but not least, Christy Turnbull. She's our Enterprise Division Chief, who will be running the park and the carousel along with David Farner. So to give you an idea of our schedule, right now, today we're doing the community charrette. So we'll be working on the 50% design plans after you give us all your input. And in December, we're going to be creating 2 designs, and we're going to be putting them out for you guys to vote on to a town hall survey. We'll have it up posted for about 4 weeks. So you guys can and gals can tell us any comments you want and pick for your favorite. And then we're going to proceed into 100% final designs and CDs, and probably through February and spring, that process will take place. And then finally, construction will begin in spring of 2024. One thing to note is the park will actually probably start before that, because that's being designed, built by a different contractor. So coordination is going to be made between Storm Ranch and that contractor during construction. It's like I said, it's design build, so it's kind of like a mini little project. So here's the park entirety of the project. You can see in the blue area here, that's where the skate park is going to be. That's behind the existing playground and the pavilions. The carousel building, where it's going to house the carousel from Newton Regional Park, it's going to be located here. And just so you know, the Wells family was the ones who owned the property, and then they sold it to after they didn't sell it to us. They donated the property to us, and they had the carousel purchased. It was used to be on the mall of Washington, D.C., and they actually purchased that carousel, and they housed it at Wheaton Regional Park until such time as the community got bigger, and then, this is going to be its final home for everybody. So now that obviously it's happening, and we're building this entire park, I'm going to open it hopefully probably in 2025. Okay, so the park will also have a large playground next to the carousel. We'll have a picnic area. There will be a swing area for teens, adults, and young children in this area, and we'll also have hill slides over here. It's going to be pretty exciting. I mean, it doesn't look like much here on the paper, but it's pretty involved, and you'll find out that a lot of these amenities are going to be really, really good to support the carousel. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Jason Bobsair of Storm Ranch, who will lead us through this design charrette. Thank you.
How's everyone doing? So before we jump into everything, has anyone here been a part of trying to bring a skate park to a town? Assuming you might have lived somewhere else before. You've done it. How'd that process go?
Still in the process.
How long's it been?
I guess a year and a half.
Yeah. So to start, the one thing I want to start here with is, this is not easy. This is a lot of money that the county is investing in this project. And to hear them stand up and say there's 5 more, I cannot tell you how incredible that is. I've got projects that are 7, 9, 10 years in the making that have fundraised $150,000. Not even a fraction of the budget of what we got working here, plus the county putting the bill and developing more. So before we even jump into anything, big round of applause for the county for recognizing skateboarding. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm going to give you this is kind of the rundown of what we're going to do today. I want to give you a little overview on myself, introduce you to Swan Ranch, kind of explain a little bit of what our design approach is. Then I really want to dive into the project, kind of walk you guys through feedback on the survey. Chrissy had touched on some of it. I've got a little bit more in-depth stuff to talk through. I want to make sure you understand what we're dealing with from a site perspective. Think about local parks, and at the end, we've got the board here that I know most people are taking a look at. We have stickers we're gonna hand out, and the idea is to put little dots on each one of the ones that you guys like the best. Everyone who's online that's on Zoom, there's a survey set up, so even people online will be able to actually, they're not going to be here in person, you can still vote as well. And then we'll have a lot of open discussion. Just again, the whole point is I really want to understand what you guys want to see in the park. I've designed skate parks for 17 years now, all over the country, internationally, for special events. So I know that I can design a really fun skate park, but at the end of the day, I don't know exactly what you guys want to see in this park and what style of skating you guys want to see. So I want to take all that information. I check the skater brain, ego, gets checked at the door for me. This is all about what you guys want to see in the park. So, a little bit of background on myself. I'm born and raised in New Jersey, grew up Central Jersey, Monmouth County area. I grew up surfing, skating, snowboarding. Basically, if you could stand sideways and hurt yourself, I was into it. Moved to San Diego about 15 years ago, or 17 years, I guess, at this point. Went to school at Monmouth University, which is in New Jersey. And now at Spawn, I've been the global skate park development and special events director for the last 17 years. So a little background on Spawn. It's probably harder to, let's see, maybe there's a lag, and there you go. A little bit harder to see these, but if you guys see, I feel like I might be swapping some people. So little background on Spawn. 1992, I guess, 91. These two pictures in the top left, the black and white, those are Aaron Spawn. He's our founder. That's Aaron skating a homemade quarter pipe in Venice back in the day before skateboarding was really anything. So, as anyone who knows anything about Southern California, Venice is like a skate mecca. So Aaron grew up there. He would go to city council meetings and say, "We need a skate park," and they'd laugh him out every time. So him and his buddies built quarter pipes on the weekends. Monday would come around, public works came, bulldoze the quarter pipes.
Where's the mic?
Oh, sorry. Aaron eventually stepped up and wound up building a vert ramp in his backyard. So that's that second picture in. Eventually he got a call from a group called, I'm sure everyone in this room is familiar with, ESPN. They had this crazy idea called X Games. Said, "What do you think?" Aaron said, "We're in." So Spawn actually designed and built the first 6 years of X Games. Provide a little bit of context. Tony Hawk won the street contest. Anyone who knows skateboarding knows Tony's not a street guy. So that shows you how long Spawn's kind of been in the game. You fast forward to today, what you see on the bottom here is a more accurate representation of a lot of what we do. So formed in 1992, 30 plus years of continued dedication to action sports. 750 number is probably low at this point. I'd say it's probably close to like well over 1,000 projects. We're headquartered in Los Angeles. I live in San Diego. We have a couple satellite offices. Our project manager who actually running this project, coordinating on with you, Brian, is based in New Jersey. Swan as a whole, we're just a really unique collective of people. We're all really like-minded. It's kind of a small kind of family feel to it. But everyone skates, surfs, snowboards, rock climbs, mountain bikes, BMX. It's, you know, we're using the term skate park, but I want to make sure everyone understands the idea here is wheel friendly. So whether you're on a scooter, you're on a bike, you're on a skateboard, we want you to be able to come to this facility and have fun, and also challenge yourself. So when we think about like the design approach that Spawn generally takes in a lot of projects, for the longest time, and if you go back 20, 30 years, the first concrete parks that were really coming out were kind of just these big gray blobs. And those big gray blobs, a lot of them, some of them are still around today. We're actually in the process of replacing a lot of them. But what's happened today is we really try to think about what the park looks to the entire community. So obviously function is always like our #1 priority, but we also look at the aesthetic. So we try to bring in architectural lines, vibrant colors, something that just helps make the park look appealing versus just kind of being a gray blob or an eyesore. This is something I'm very much going to need help with from you guys. Today's day and age, information moves faster than it ever has, and it's only getting faster. So when we build a park in whatever town, USA, ultimately within 2 days of that park opening, we'll get emails coming in from China, wherever across the world, and asking information about it. And it's usually, hey, what's this park, this park, this park, or that park? Now, what we've been doing is taking the idea of bringing like a local element, bringing it into the park. So in this top left corner, that's in Long Beach, California. So you have LB City. Top right-hand corner, that's up in in Washington State. Directly behind the photographer who's taking the picture is Mount Rainier. So the idea is this is supposed to be like a Mount Rainier gap. Bottom right-hand corner, that's Anaheim. So orange slices, like there are a lot of oranges there. So the idea is we're trying to tie the local community to this park. So when someone sees it, it's not, oh, that's state park. It's, oh, that's the Parksburg Park. It's Ovid Hazen Wells Park. Like we want people to know exactly where this park is. Because from the community perspective, the more people that come in, stay at this park, they spend money locally, elevates the tax base. It's kind of a high tide raises all boats situation. Unique textures. I'm sure you saw some of these on the boards. A skate park doesn't just need to be concrete these days. We do a lot of things where we bring in downward textures, we bring in different materials. So looking at kind of the bottom right-hand corner here, this is a project we did in Bend, Oregon. As we were excavating the park, we found this beautiful slab, got approval from the city to be able to sneak it to a bank that wasn't originally in the plans. Top right-hand corner, tile mosaic on this kind of pure set Manicad field. Marble in the lower left, brick stamp in the top. So we don't just need to think outside the box here. The beautiful thing about concrete is you can kind of almost do anything you want with it. It's just shaping earth and forming using wood. So as long as the budget can support it, insurance is okay with it, we want to try and bring it to the fall. Integrated landscaping. So based on, a lot of times we get the question like, well, why don't you just pave that space? Well, unfortunately, budget, our goal is to stretch the budget as far as we can, right? And take up as much space. And a lot of times, as you guys all probably know, in state parks, having run up and run out is incredibly important. We don't want to have features just stacked on top of each other. So bringing in this internal landscaping helps to stretch the park out without spending, let's call it a concrete state park, $60 a square foot. Grass is probably $3 a square foot. So if I can stretch the park out and create more run up and run out all features, it's an overall better skating experience. So don't look at landscaping as a negative. You should look at landscaping as a way to really space things out and help stretch your budget. You guys skate, everyone here skated North Laurel? Yeah, so we've got the big plan, and that's this picture in I'm sure you recognize the picture in the lower right. So that whole internal planning area is what enabled to kind of instead of everything on top of each other, stretch it out, gives the park and breathing room and you guys. Skatable art. The idea here is again, it kind of touches on that function versus fashion thing, but it's really just bringing something sculptural, architectural into the park, helping improve the aesthetic. And at the end of the day, it usually winds up in creating some really unique and different skate features. So anything you guys have seen that maybe doesn't look like your quintessential skate feature, but you've always wondered like, oh, if we adjusted this and turn that this way, that could stay really fun. Bring those ideas to the table. That's what we want to hear about. I don't want to do it. I'm not here to do a skate park that's going to be a row of ramps in a fun box. I want to do something cool, different outside the box. So going into the project a little bit, do I need to be looking at any of the questions or that's all you guys, right? Okay, perfect. So I want to start off by kind of just looking at some of the survey results. Some of you young guys can probably see this, but can you guys actually, it's a little fuzzy. You guys able to read it? All right. So just quickly running through here, top stat is basically saying 78% of the users of this that took the survey are skateboarders. Just show of hands, who skates in here? How many kids are on bikes? Cool. And then we got scooter in mind as well. Any just scooter riders? No scooters, I'm assuming there's definitely no landmines. Got it. So sounds like the survey is probably a relatively accurate representation of the group, given the hands that just went up. Really, a lot of times when we see this, it's always intermediate, is always the vast majority of the users. So this seems like a very normal and average breakdown to me. So show of hands, who considers themselves more on the intermediate side here? Beginner side, expert, pro. So I want to definitely take a little bit of time to kind of talk about, this kind of goes a little bit, this section of the survey goes a little bit more into like what we actually want to see in the park. So it seems from, and what Chrissy had said, street and plaza is really the directions that most of the people want to see this park building. And it doesn't mean we don't have any transition, but it's just like, if you were to look at the park as a whole and or think about any skate park you pulled up to, you look at it, the very first judgment is it's either street heavy or it's transition heavy. Or it's, you know, the perfect balance in the, what do you, in terms of what you guys want to see in this park, where do you guys think you land on that second?
I'd love to see a goal, just like the new spot, I'd love to see a goal with the bigger, so it's small and maybe second 5, maybe 9.
Okay. I'm gonna take a few notes as we're doing this too.
Can you just repeat it online?
Yeah, the question was, what do you want to see? And the gentleman responded, he wants to see a bowl. He wants to start out at 4 feet and up to 5, maybe a 7
In our chat, we also have competition size goal mentioned, and we would like to see balance of street, brand/goal.
Yeah, it's being able to provide different depths and different elevations throughout the bowl. 4 and 5, usually what we'll do is if we have a 4 and 5 is kind of like our shallow end, we'll call it, we'll usually max out our deep end. It could be 7, 7.5, 8, and we can do extensions that kind of help get to 9. But it is, before we go any further down the direction of the bowl conversation, anyone else in here interested in seeing the bowl in the park? Got it. So I think it's probably a pretty fair assessment to say, and I think given the size of the park and project that we're working on, it would definitely make sense to have a bowl in here. As far as 9 foot, I think that might be a little tough given the geography and kind of what the site has for us, but I think we could definitely do something really fun that at least has extensions that kind of check those boxes. From a street side, is that we got a lot of hands up for bowls, but I guess how many people really consider themselves street skaters? Now, do you think that's because you've only had access to that, or do you think that's because you've tried transition and it's just not for you? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm 41. I grew up in New Jersey. I didn't have a bowl or a mini to skate my whole life, so all I could skate was parking garages. I moved to San Diego and found transition. So it's just like, it's what you're exposed to, right? So then it's not to say we don't want to replicate that and bring a lot of street in here, but the idea is, think about the idea of balancing the park and being able to, younger skaters are going to come here to have a little bit of everything instead of just being stuck with one type of skate versus the other. So I think knowing that we have a lot of street skaters here to begin with, and the fact that we're already talking about a bowl, I think we're off to a really, really good start.
Another comment in the chat was I would look for a true ramp to be built, but only one nearby Charm City and up in Baltimore.
Hi, everyone. We're just learning that somebody on the chat is saying they would like a vert ramp, a true vert ramp. And Jason's taking some notes about that.
What's the point of that city exactly?
Okay. So we're hearing the closest one is actually at Urbana, not Charm City.
Well, that's, yeah, so there's a very idea. One of the things I'm really excited to see on here was that the design for all abilities, 72%, 530 people of the 700 check that box. So as I mentioned before, this is a community park. This isn't just for beginners, it isn't just for intermediate, just for experienced guys. This is for everyone to come and have fun.
If you did a vert ramp, would it be out of concrete or
Yeah, my personal opinion is that a vert ramp is probably not good. It's probably not going to want to make it in here. They cost a tremendous, they take up probably half the budget, and it satisfies a very small amount of the actual food that can save with there. That's why you don't see a lot of them. I mean, you almost never see them in public parks. It's really rare. Appreciate the insight or the request, but yeah, it's just when I'm making a decision based on the whole community, it's got to be something that everyone can use. And a vert ramp that's 12, 13 feet.
if you're going to do that, it's right.
Yeah, we've built a bunch. We do like when they have like DCFC, like that's our program that gets set up for that band event. So we've got them. It's just it's tough to put in a public park. So these are some of the amenities, which I'm going to skip over because the amenities are, I mean, some are within our scope, but and it's really just a shade structure, which I'm assuming everyone in the room probably agrees shade is an important thing in the skate park. So I won't spend too much time on that. This was an interesting question, looking at, you have your hand up?
Yeah. Shade. What about the ranks? Where ranks to other people? You don't have to start. Is on to start reading people. And saying underneath the thing, okay, I'm good. But then just start seeking through and
Yeah, so there's two types of shade structures. There's,
One second. The question from the audience was, what about rain? And, is it possible to mitigate rain for a structure?
yeah, so the two different types of shade structures, you either have like the shade sails that are kind of like the fabric where eventually it does seep through, and that's probably what happened to you, or you have a hard structure. That's going to be like a proper metal roof or something like that. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to the budget. To me, you're going to spend probably twice as much for that hard roof, right? And at the end of the day, if the shade structure is there to provide shade, sail's going to do that. If it starts raining, I mean, it's going to take your park an hour to dry anyway. So standing there waiting for it to dry, probably not the best idea. So I think in terms of being able to provide more skate park now with the budget we have, looking at something like a shade sail would probably make the most sense, just because, like I said, when it rains, you're going to wait for that thing to dry anyway. So when it's sunny, you'll have all the shade you need, and we're going to end up getting more skate park out of it. So it's certainly something up for discussion, and probably something really, at the end of the day, that's probably something more for you guys to talk with the county about. We're providing the shade structure, but at the end of the day, I'm here just to design the skate park. So if you have a preference of one versus the other, that would be the conversation to have with the county. But yeah, I see the value in both. Just depends on
for in Ireland, it seems to be the goal, and I'm so happy with the support from time to go in parks. But once it's winter time, we can't go to these beautiful things like the hardcore guys will be there with pull down boots and thermal.
Yeah.
But there's a reason I moved to Canada. Yeah, it's a reason to say that everybody I can do that. But there is a wind.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we went with a roof, probably the entire budget that we have for the skate park to build it wouldn't afford a roof to go over the park.
Just to let you all know, there is some picnic shelters that we build in our parks. And usually they're standard picnic shelters, and that's what we thought we would have. So it would have a roof, but it would it's just like a picnic shelter. It's not anything really fancy.
Yes, to provide just a little perspective, like our footprint for the skate park is 14,000 square feet. The budget for the overall project, as you go, you'll see like 425. If we were to cover that whole thing so that you could skate when it's raining, probably be like another $2 million. So you need about 3 times the budget that we have to even build the skate park in order to actually cover it. Yeah, the roofs are really, I mean, just the comment you have is every single community I go to outside. I live in San Diego. I grew up in New Jersey. I get it. I know why you moved there for the same reasons. But it's unfortunately usually most of the time cost prohibitive. Even we get the opposite complaint down in Texas. It's too hot. Florida, it's too hot for a portion of the year where no one can skate. So they want to have it, they want to have the whole thing covered. It's just really, really hard to do from a budget perspective.
675,000, but it also includes design.
Design, shade structure, landscaping, and then work some of the other general contractors going to do it.
One word about
Yeah, that's true.
So if I am skate parks and we want to include that thing on the budget, I don't know if there's insurance or what, but you might be able to have a skate park for a portion to do it. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Montgomery Parks though would have to work with DOT with that, and they own their own land, we own our own land, so but we'll keep that in mind. That's what the goal is.
Yeah, and for anyone online, the question was asking about, building the future, any of the 5 future state parks, because we're looking at sites underneath the overpass. Anyone else have anything else on the? It's not related, but. So, yeah, so wherever we have the bowl, we'll have full drainage, so we'll be tying into the existing storm that's on site. Everything else that's in the street area is basically gonna be able to sheet off. The thing to think about we're building skate parks, think about your public basketball courts or your roller hockey rinks or your tennis courts. Because it's a flat, everything looks like a flat plane, but what it is, everything's really tipped at 1%. Any more than 1% slope on a flat surface, if you're skating, it feels like you're going uphill or downhill in any one direction. So you have a very small tolerance to really be able to get the water to sheet off that way. Otherwise, it impacts the skating. So that's why when you see tennis courts, you see basketball courts, after it rains, sometimes you will have a few little puddles here or there. Sounds like what you're maybe seeing in these other parks is actually a probably drainage issue. But the worst thing you might see in here is potentially like small little puddles here and there. And again, that goes back to us always trying to just get everything at 1% and not have to deal with it too slow down. But there will be full civil brought onto this. That's making sure that everything's handled in terms of drainage. We definitely don't want water backing up in the bowl or, big puddles in the park. Again, we'll have small ones, but that's just the nature of how we slope concrete. But all in all, it should be something. If rain falls, you should have within an hour or two, depending on the weather and climate, whatever. You should be able to do that up there. Anything else?
I'm not just hearing that we were past the budget stage, but was there any thought about with the funds of augmenting the budget tax cut? So is there any thought about
Yeah. Well, the question was, if there is a public-private partnership, option that could help raise additional funds for the project.
through facility planning, which the master plan, which back in 2014, for that state park issue, didn't really pursue that, but there is other things in the parks that we do that for. But one thing to note is we did get a grant from the state for this skate park. So that helped us, $200,000 more into the skate.
So next question kind of coming down the list here. So I'm curious, what are your opinions of the local parks in this area? I don't know if you guys are able to read it, but it's Gettysburg, K-Town, Olney Manor, Rockville, Tacoma, and Woodside were the kind of 5 that were listed. Looks like the majority of people spend their time at Rockville.
Yeah, I live right in Sorrel. It's like management is the one thing, and then it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like for me, I keep stopping all kinds of.
Yeah, for sure.
More, and I go to all the state parks, but somehow I don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
So is the park staffed? Is that why it's mandatory? Okay. Yeah, so we did a project in Ocean City, New Jersey, where it's not only helmet, but it's elbow and knee pads. And I'm like you, I wear my helmet every time I skate. One, be a good example, and 2, stuff happens. Every now and then you hit a rock and you're not expecting it, right? So safety, sorry. So I get where you're coming from. I kind of get that same feel. San Diego, California is it seems like a lot more people are wearing helmets there, especially the younger kids, because they've been kind of brought up with it. Where I'm 41, so up until like 10 years ago, helmets were still not cool to me. But now they're very cool. Encourage everyone to get a helmet if you don't have them. Well, this park's not going to be staffed. So this is going to be a state-of-your-own risk park. Most parks aren't staffed, because what happens is you do staff the park, then anything that happens in that park that's not in line with the rules, you're 100% liable. If you put a sign up with the rules and regulations, say skate-at-your-own risk, the onus is now on the user. But this is not going to be a staff.
Right, and that's exactly it. It'll be recommended that you obviously wear a helmet because Montgomery County really takes a lot of, especially with the sports, with the concussion laws and all that. So it's really in best interest because You really hurt yourself.
Question was, will there be lighting?
Right, in the initial beginnings, no, there won't be, but, we're especially gonna have a phase two to this park. And that's when the lighting issue will be brought up. You know, we got ball fields that we wanna light and different things like that, so maybe in the future, yes, that could be, but not in the mission. So the comment was that Damascus was built and he says a lot of the elements were really high. So he doesn't want to make the same mistake here.
Do you know who did that park? Do you know who did that park? It's what?
I don't know it's Steve.
Yeah.
And provide gradations. Right. So definitely talking about providing a lot of gradation. Go ahead, I'm just talking to people in my area.
Yeah,
So now we can shoot. Provide elements for those people that.
yeah, no, and your point's well taken, folks. So I'm standing from this thing. The idea here is like if you're 5, 6 years old and you have a Strider bike, like those bikes without pedals, or you're someone who's skated for 20, 30 years, you should be able to come to this facility and have fun. You should also be able to come to this facility and be challenged, right? So the different gradations, that's how we're going to achieve that, right? Making sure we have a little bit of something for everyone. And yeah, the more we can make anything dual purpose, we can, you know, 2 birds, 1 stone kind of scenario. Yeah, and that's yeah. So it'll be different elevations. We'll have rakes that go up and down. But yeah, the idea is everyone's going to be able to come here and have fun.
From the chat, just because it's one low curve and many passes rails being included in the design for beginners to learn. I'm talking 3 to 6 inch heights, very low for beginners. While the skate park is great, features are not good for beginners. All the boxes are at least 12 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of my question was to provide lower rails, like 6 inches off the ground, other than some other elements which are in other skate parks which are around 12 inches high, so. I'm assuming we're gonna definitely provide lower rails.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to dive. I'm not going to ignore the question, but once we get past this part, we'll start talking more specifically about like the actual features. But just going back, is there anything about these 5 parks up here, Gaithersburg, Cape Town, Only Manor, Rockville, Tacoma, River, 6 parks, Woodside? Like, what's the general feedback? You guys like the parks? You not like the parks? Which one do you guys go to?
I will leave there, focus on, they see a lot of people there.
Leesburg, Rockville, and Hager Center are parks. That's good. Glad to hear that.
You all wanna come up and ask these questions, so I'll be able to get
No,
it?
I'll just.
Okay.
More cool.
Cause they have a lot of this, forward transition, will almost that around it.
Yeah. A-Town's more of like a DIY feel, right? Yeah.
So they have surfacing, but,
Yeah,
we're gonna do kind of, so, each dollar.
yeah, just like somewhere like a nice, like good warm-up spot, just like an open flat.
Speaking for some of the BMX firefighters in the area, we frequent the Aldi skate park, got a deep hole, like, looking at the transit, but a lot of the people in the area. they- firefighters, like, a lot of them don't want to do it, but, yeah, often,
Yeah,
can't even get your neck.
yeah,
So we'll end up driving, countless ways, places like, red one, like, Walkerville.
Walker Mill, yeah,
People that like to buy it, but
yeah, a lot of,
full, as well as White Plains, forget the name of it, but down in Baltimore.
okay,
Like that. A lot of it comes from.
yeah,
Not.
yeah, so just to throw it out there, like, because there's more projects coming. They come to these meetings, like, this is a democratic process, right? Like, a lot of my information that me and my design team are gonna use is based on what's discussed here and what's derived in the survey. So definitely encourage them to come to meetings, like, that's how they'll get parks built where you don't have to drive an hour or 2 hours to go have fun, like, you can have something in your backyard, so definitely have them show up, but point taken.
We talked about the BMX biker groups, what to come, and, you gave us some examples of where they go, and now we're encouraging all the BMX to come to the community meetings. So they definitely like bowls and different things like that.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add one thing about that, at Wheaton Regional Park. As part of our master plan there that we're getting ready to implement very soon, there's gonna actually be a full adventure sports park, which is gonna include a bike park and a skate park. So I encourage you to encourage your friends and other people who are bikers to definitely come to those meetings, because there will be a strong bike component at that park.
And just as an aside, Carroll Knowles Local Park is going to have a pump track, and it's in 60% design right now. So Carroll Knowles Local Park, which is off of Wood Avenue, just south of Wheaton. In case you all didn't know that.
Where, Reston? I like that they like the Reston part. There's two, so we did one in Lake Fairfax Park, and we did one at, is the one in Reston, is that at the community center?
It's kind of like.
Did red, is that red in it? Yeah, that's our Lake Fairfax Park, I think. Last one, I want to keep going here.
Yes, so it's in the Broadway Park, you walk in, and it's like a rectangle area, and it's just a, oh yeah, or.
Yeah, kind of like warm up zone.
Not big enough for a warm up, and then people are walking in and they're getting like close to the shin. Part, they end up getting. And they're not open.
Yeah,
Only skate park, right in the middle, that's what people try to have, so all the.
Yeah.
But everyone, they're like a city, down for the people that are.
yeah, yeah.
So maybe they could do it, they can create a packaging. Even though you can go to the park, but they want to just. For hours, just. Because it's.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of parks where, we'll basically design like kind of a bigger open concrete area that you're talking about. We'll generally throw like sometimes we'll throw a flat bar in the middle of it, or line the edges with slappy curbs, just like stuff that people want to session. So you can either go there to session something or warm up on something. Yeah. Yeah. And so like some of the stuff we can do is like using like we talked about the internal landscaping to help kind of delineate those zones and direct traffic. So yeah, that's absolutely. For those online, the question was about, or one of the comment was about having an open area for people can play skate and have an area within one. All right, so I'm gonna fast forward through, because this is access to the park. All right, so kind of diving into the overall in the park. So Brian mentioned before, there's a budget of 675. There's different allocations for that budget. Part of that breakdown is landscaping, shade structure, some of the other amenities. Right now, we kind of have a budget of about 425,000 for the actual skate park. And as we kind of go through this, we'll start to kind of chop that up. Like could be, definitely potential for it to grow depending on ultimately what the county wants to see in terms of landscaping and some of the other non-skate factors, in terms of like shade structure, stuff like that. We are going in the direction of all concrete. I know we had the question about the vert ramp that you brought up. Yeah, we're going all concrete here. Obviously we'll have steel rails, coping, edging, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we're not looking to do prefab ramps. As I've mentioned a couple times now, the idea is wheel friendly, all skill levels, all wheels. So kind of going back to this balance of street and transition, we already talked about a bowl, which takes a big chunk of the transition question out of the equation. But is the idea, you guys think the idea here is 50-50? Is that like what you think everyone in this room is interested in seeing in terms of the breakdown? Like that would strike a pretty good balance between the two?
I think it's a lot of it.
Mhm.
And really, really, give more people about how
Yeah, so the thing with, yeah, so the couple things, right? So your first is it's county, right? So they're gonna be all over. But the idea you're talking about is the idea of like looking at it as like an ecosystem, which definitely works. The problem is we don't know, the timing is on the next slide.
Well,
I can talk to that.
yeah, here comes Christie. She can tell you about reading and all those.
So yeah, as site planning supervisor, I am working on the sort of like larger countywide design ideas for exactly what you're talking about, of looking at these 5 parks as an ecosystem of skate features. And we heard that over and over again, actually, in the survey, that people want different types of parks. And so we will be looking at that. We just haven't compiled all the information and all the great feedback we've got since we got so many responses. But we're working on that and we're hoping to have that done pretty quickly. And we're going to send that back out to you and make sure we got it right. So the park timeline is, we are looking at like in the next 3 years, getting a lot of these things at least underway. So we're looking at the Wheaton Adventure Sports Park, which is a very, very large project, which will have not only a skate park, but also bike skills and areas for beginners, as well as other adventure sports things like parkour and potentially a climbing wall. We're also looking at some smaller kind of skate spots like at Newport Mill and Wheaton. And then at South Germantown Park, we'll have another large skate park. And I'm forgetting on others right now, but we are looking to get these things underway in the next 3 years. And I know it's a lot of your time to come out to these kinds of meetings, but it's really important to us to hear from you, so that we can get these 5 parks designed right.
So the next 3 years means it's under construction or?
No, underway in design in the next 3 years.
Okay, and one more comment, the South Germantown Park has a bike skill, but it's dirt, right?
Correct. Yeah, and that one we're looking at, potentially formalizing some of that, and then also putting in skate.
essentially have part of the
Yeah. That's a great point. The comment was, it'd be a good idea to have some of these design meetings that design more than one park at a time, so that skaters can understand what the different types might be, or the different parks might look like. And I think that's a really good comment, and I think that was consideration as we move on to, we just had the opportunity to do this one right away, which is great, and others, as I said, will be kind of following in the next few years, and we'll have more opportunities to potentially do that with the great idea.
We comment about doing specific parts, sorry, but this crew right here represents from the neighborhood, just within the district.
All right, nice. Glad you're here, Beth. That comment was that there is a group here, from Parks Service, and of course, we'll get to that.
It's all the signs I put up.
Yeah, one of the cool things about the survey, and we're trying to figure out if we can make this data work, is that, we ask people for their zip code, so we kind of know, maybe where some of their comments came from, which is great. So I'll put that out.
Yeah, so to your question, looking at this as an ecosystem is the smart way to do it, 100%. Right now, we don't have enough information to be able to do that, but this is also the first one, right? So when the second one comes up, Derek and Shopkins in Parkersburg, right now we don't know where it's going to be located. What if it's the budget of a skate spot? And we dedicate this whole thing's going to be transitioned. This next park's going to be street, and the budget's half of what we have here. So until there's more information, can't kind of make those decisions. But your idea of looking at it as an ecosystem is the smart, the way the county, I think, is going to do it as things start to unfold. So going back in the year, so we talked that came from like balance of street and transition, which it seems like everyone's kind of leaning in that direction. Flow. I think a lot of people think about flow and they only think about transition, but there's a lot of flow when it comes to designing street as well. Brian mentioned before, we're gonna have another contractor on site that we're going to be coordinating with. So that'll be something we need to think about. And one of the big things you mentioned before about like tying in the local community, right? So what is local to Montgomery County or Clarksburg that we can use to kind of create this identifier in this park? But also, and this could be one and the same thing, like coming up with a signature defining feature, like NBD, right? Never been done. What has never been done in a skate park that you guys want to now have in the skate park? So it's something to think about. Got my own ideas, but again, this is your guys' skate park. Looking at ADA compliance, as I mentioned before, having a shade structure of the park. So I'm going to just skip through this one because Brian did a great job of kind of covering exactly what's all entailed in the project, but yeah, so just from looking at Google Earth, essentially this is our area that we're looking at. Good news, the park is so this is the existing Google Earth, but I'm going to go back to see where the parking lot is, how it stretches over. There's a small one, there's new parking. Yeah,
there's parking over by the ball field, so you will have to walk down the trail to get to this area. Well, it's very close. I mean, it's right over the hill. Yeah. Right.
It's close. It's not like.
Yeah, I mean, you have to walk a little bit, but hey, it's park. That's exercise, right? But one good thing. Yeah, it's all gonna be asphalt paved trail, but one good thing, I don't know if you all know, we're gonna have Wi-Fi at this park too. So, that'll be a good thing. Of course, we do have security cameras too.
the Wi-Fi sheet. I didn't know that. Yeah. So the park itself right now, these are kind of like just looking at the characteristics, accessible, visible. Basically, I'll find it's a hill right now. The contractor who's going to eventually bid on the rest of the scope of the work, and kind of knocking it down and flattening it out. Do not worry, that contractor is literally doing nothing aside from just flattening out some dirt for us. We'll be skate park builders that are building this spot 100%. So amenity construction you can think about. There's a manhole that's out there that we need to kind of either design with, design around, so that would be something that kind of touches a little bit on drainage. Making sure we have the proper supporting infrastructure, to your point about the park not draining, the other parks not draining. And then obviously a factor in every project is geotech, right? So not all dirt is created even. What we have for dirt out there, like we can put the dirt different than we have for dirt out here. And what that means is we don't want to build a skate park and have this, have a bunch of money spent and this thing falls into a sinkhole, right? So we want to understand what the DNA of the dirt is. What do we need to do to prepare that dirt to be able to build on top of it? So that's what the geotechnical side of the report is going to tell us. That will ultimately impact our budget in terms of how much site prep we need to do before we can actually start the skate park construction. Mostly for when we did that Lake Fairfax Park, the one I think you were talking about, Reston, that like bedrock is 2 feet underneath. It was crazy how shallow the bedrock was. I think we had to take dynamite out there to get like drain lines. It was like another level. Yeah. So I just wanted to, we touched a little bit earlier on some of the local parks, but I just wanted to kind of bring these up. This also kind of helps give me a visual, kind of refresh my memory on this. So the comment on Olney and the bowl makes sense now. Rockville, Gathersburg, Cape Town, you can see the DIY field. So
You said 14,000 square feet, so that's about the same size.
Yeah, it's pretty much same size. We might have a little bit more in this part and so,
and it's and to clarify, it's not going to be 14,000 square feet stable. That's our essentially our footprint that we're designing. So that's kind of really like the meat and potatoes of what I'm going to be talking to you guys about for right now. The next step here is we've got stickers, and the idea here is I want to take like 15, 20 minutes to give you guys each, I think.
Let's do an next one and move on.
Perfect. So we've got the 3 boards up here. Michelle's going to give you guys stickers, and the idea is everyone's going to get the same number of stickers. The idea is to put a sticker on any of the features that you like the best. This just kind of helps get some basics down for us, and we'll have a bit more conversation after that in terms of open discussion, just understanding what you guys are interested in, what makes sense for the project.
Obviously, all my people go to the surveymonthly.com. The link is right there, so you can participate.
Let's take a row.
And if you're online, you're going to get 8 select. You're going to get to make 8 selections. No, it's just different features. I just said, yeah,